Coming up, Xixi volunteers in Taiwan returned to Xixi Village of Penghu to check on some old friends. In China, we meet a Taiwanese businessman who changed his outlook on life after meeting Tzu Chi. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. We start today's program in Taiwan. Back on July 23rd, due to turbulent weather, TransAsia Airways flight GE222 crashed into Xixi Village of Penghu. Tzu Chi volunteers soon after began their mission of comfort and held a blessing ceremony to ease the local residents' hearts and minds. Now, 4 months later, this friendship is still as strong as ever, as Tzu Chi volunteers held yet another event to not only check up on their friends, but also promote the benefits of vegetarianism. Here in Xixi Village, Tzu Chi volunteers are holding a second tea gathering following the TransAsia Airways crash in July. However, this event isn't only about comforting the residents, but promoting the benefits of vegetarianism.
I just feel that since the residents' minds have been eased, there isn't a need to pick at the scab and expose the wound. We just use our positive and loving energy to care for them.
Singing songs to entertain the soothing voices of the Tzu Chi volunteers warms the hearts of the residents and puts a smile on every face.
Hearing the volunteers sing to us makes us feel much better.
You have my utmost respect for the effort you have put in here. Residents were sad for a while, but have now slowly begun to walk out of the shadows of despair.
It's great that Tzu Chi is caring for the residents here. We're slowly recovering and not as frightened anymore. We are feeling much better.
In the aftermath of the air tragedy, some Xixi residents moved. Thus, local residents were also able to meet up with old neighbors thanks to the volunteers' tea gathering. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers in China kicked off this year's winter aid distributions in Yi County, Hebei Province. Despite the long distances, some volunteers traveled from Inner Mongolia and Shanxi Province to join the distribution held at Niugang Village. Thanks to Tzu Chi's help, 1,955 families received much-needed aid.
Despite the below-zero temperatures, today's distribution site remains filled with warmth. Due to a brain embolism 3 years ago, farmer Wang Jingtang can barely see and also has difficulty walking properly.
这馒头原汤，那菜吃什么呀？几乎不吃菜。屋前面没有菜园什么的吗？没水，没水啊，干旱啊，干旱。您在几车？啊？
Now with Tzu Chi's relief items in hand, Wang and his family finally have food to get through the cold winter.
I don't know how to express my thanks. How can I ever repay your kindness? All of you have such a compassionate heart.
Let me teach you a Jingsi aphorism. Good words are like lotus flowers blooming on lips. Bad words are like poisonous snakes hissing from the mouth. You can become a bodhisattva if you speak kind words every day.
Introducing Xixi aphorisms to 8 recipients is Tzu Chi volunteer Shi Xiuhong, who had to travel more than 1,000 kilometers to join the distribution here in Yi County.
Every day is a good day if you are in a good mood.
To help recipients better carry the relief items home, volunteers thoughtfully wrap the bags of salt into packages.
We wrapped the 6 bags of salt into one package to make it easier for locals to carry it home. Since we don't have bags for them, wrapping the salt together was the best way. To help the DaAi farm in Sansha make new trellises for the property, former cancer patient Cai Jialing gave the volunteers the permission to cut down bamboo from her land to make the new framework.
A group of Tzu Chi volunteers in New Taipei City are heading up to the mountains to cut down bamboo.
Everyone, please move out of the way. The bamboo is going to fall on the side. We need a trellis to grow gourds, so we're here to cut down some bamboo. The bamboo roots can be turned into brooms.
The owner of this bamboo grove is Cai Jialing and her husband, who happily gave the volunteers permission to cut down some of the bamboo.
I was once diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Thanks to the Tzu Chi Foundation, I was able to find a match and recovered from my illness. I want to thank Tzu Chi and the Master for saving me.
With the assistance of Tzu Chi volunteer Cheng Mingfu, the volunteers quickly found bamboo suitable for their gourd trellis.
We can keep bamboo stems that are 3 to 4 years old and should cut off those that are more than 7 years old. You won't find annual growth rings on a bamboo stem, so it is difficult to tell how old a bamboo is. A bamboo is about 4 years old if the stem is yellow and moldy.
After drying the bamboo under the sun for several days, they can then be transformed into trellises and even brooms. Thanks to the volunteers' creativity, they're meeting the needs of their farm in an environmentally friendly way.
Hong Huixiang of Pingdong, Taiwan, is often portrayed as an environmental activist in the media, but in fact, he sees himself as simply a farmer who believes in bringing about an organic revolution in the country, where people once again learn to eat healthy, respect the source of their food, and cherish Mother Nature. Here is his story.
The organic way of life is a revolution. It is not just some label you see on a product. If you simply see the label and don't see how my brother Ye here is on the ground on all fours, then you don't have the slightest grasp of what organic means.
花香味啦，那个蝴蝶啊，到处的飞。
Today, organic farmer Hong Huixiang of Pingdong, Taiwan, is checking upon his fellow farmer.
芬多精的味道啦。
This is the smell of phytonsid. It is so refreshing and pleasant. These are our lemons, but we are fighting an infestation of citrus longhorn beetles.
我们来看一下，这个就是新天牛。
The beetle is the natural predator of all citrus plants. This lemon tree is full of holes drilled by the beetles. The larvae of the beetle can easily chew through the bark of a citrus tree. As this is an organic farm, farmers can only remove the beetles by hand, followed by a spraying of sulfur solution.
This is like a heaven for insects, since we don't use pesticides. See, there's a ladybug here.
December happens to be the mating season of the beetle. In this 1-hectare farm with several hundred lemon trees, farmers can only battle the pest like so.
We get down on all fours and do the work. This is the moment in which our vitality shines. If you don't see him down on the ground like this, then you won't fully comprehend what getting down on all fours means.
The work is laborious and repetitive. However, in turn, the farmers' health and jobs are protected.
Our goal is to farm in an environmental friendly way, so that's why we're doing this in our hometown. It's a steady and dignified job. We do the work one step at a time.
These lemons are especially fragrant and are available all year long. This was how people used to farm before mass production with the aid of chemical pesticides and fertilizers was invented.
When our food is served on the dinner table, the relationship we have with the land, the environment, and our health is already decided. That's why organic living is a revolution.
Hello.
Hong wants to bring about a revolution that redefines people's relationship with their food. The final leg lies in this organic kitchen.
罗勒原始的材料。
The basil in the hands of the chef is freshly picked and very fragrant.
This revolution is not the responsibility of just farmers or the government or businesses. This is about restoring a symbiotic way of life, where people rely on one another.
Hong has been pursuing his dream for decades, all without the support of the government. To date, more than 100 farmers have joined him.
这是一个生态橘
This is
子
a， natural orange. It's not the same as an organic produce. It's one step above organic farming. Because a natural farm not only provides for humans, but also a wide variety of organisms in a real ecosystem.
They may just be another ordinary farmer getting themselves dirty tending to their crops and repeating mundane tasks day after day. But the fruits of their labor shows consumers what real food is supposed to be and look like. In Dongguan, China, Taiwanese businessman Li Weiping helps run a factory with his father-in-law. Leading a sheltered life, Li was unprepared to face the stress of having to guide the company through the 2009 financial crisis. However, after finding Tzu Chi, he has learned to open up to the world and is now someone that laughs easily.
We were really sheltered here, to the point that we were actually cut off from the rest of the world. So at that time, I didn't have any friends.
没有朋友。因为以前对外的接触
Before, contact with the world outside was all handled by my father-in-law. We seldom went outside, so we didn't know how to interact with people here, not knowing anyone or how to do anything. Certainly, having to deal with our company's looming bankruptcy. The pressure was immense. I felt helpless.
在那时候压力是非常大的，而且那时候是感到非常彷徨无助的。
Brother Lin Hui said to me that I needed to give myself a chance. If I don't give myself a chance, how will I know that the world can change for the better? I remember the first time I attended a study session. Right before going in, I decided I was going to leave instead. Standing in front of those doors, it was strange. I had no confidence, none at all. But just as I was turning around to leave, the doors opened.
兄在不在？嗨，师姐，大家好，大家好，师兄好，真的是这样。谢谢。
吃素的鲨鱼，吃素的鲨鱼哦，它牙齿不是尖的，是钝的。你看，吃素的鲨鱼。
以前爸爸很凶吗？现在呢？不凶，常常笑。
对，
笑到什么程度？
师姑叫他停，他都不停。
爸爸就不会都用说的。
我女儿在
During Tzu Chi events, many people don't know whom my daughters belong to.
每个都像他爸爸妈妈。对。
Yes, they call everyone father and mother.
家里有没有比较开心？有哦，爸爸妈妈比较爱笑了哈。
对。
感觉上面多了很多。
It feels like our family is much bigger now and everyone is much happier. As part of Tzu Chi, we have enjoyed so much happiness.
On the back are those that I like, those that have a positive message. For example, this one. The greatest achievement is to stand up from failure. If not for Tzu Chi, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
In Lima, Peru, the Tzu Chi Foundation was invited to participate in COP20, the conference in regards to raising awareness on climate change. Besides working with religious leaders and other institutions, Tzu Chi also proposed for an ethical eating day to fall on January 11th to further reduce the impact of eating foods that harm the environment.
As the COP20 year continues in Lima, this year marks a huge turning point for Tzu Chi. It brings to the dialogue its own experience in the critical issues of disaster relief through its first side event via the UNFCCC.
We have adaptation, we have mitigation, we have loss damage, we have finance, but fundamental, we have to change from ourselves.
And side panelist and co-host Lynn Wilson from the Sea Trust Institute asserted that strength comes in partnerships.
Tzu Chi is a disaster relief organization. We have historically worked with the climate change adaptation side, and this is where we could come together to do something larger than either of us could do alone.
Still, Executive Vice President of Tzu Chi USA, Deborah Boudreau, brings up an important initiative.
We propose January 11th as ethical eating, just one day of the year to become a vegetarian. It's under one program of sustainable lifestyle.
With a similar humanistic message, leaders in both faith and science came together to declare their willingness to band together.
We realized that we have to work together, political leaders, religious leaders, and academics, because we as religious groups, we are going with closed eyes in darkness without to take into account the new developments on science.
But the major findings of that science were shared here with religious leaders in a summary from one of the lead authors of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's 5th Assessment Report.
The IPCC report that time is running out to take action, that we still have an opportunity to take action, but we need to do that very quickly. And thirdly, we need to reduce our emissions of greenhouse gases down to zero.
The immediacy of this message was also reiterated by DaAi's very own Huang Chi-ming. He shared a quote from Master that expressed what's needed in the face of great disaster.
A call emerges for great awakening.
Master Zheng Yan told us we should do something, especially the earth, and we hope we can unite more religions together to do more things in the future.
In Malaysia, Tzu Chi's Kuala Lumpur and Selangor chapter began a new Shoots Education sponsorship program for the first time this July this year. Among the recipients is Huang Chi-wen, who has been living with his uncle's family since young. Being such a studious child, Chi-wen knows that the best way to repay his relatives' grace is by doing well in school.
这一本是伯父还有伯母睡，还有我，还有黄强睡的。这一本就是表姐睡的。这一本是最大的堂哥，还有那个哥哥睡的。这一本呢就是那个第二个堂哥睡的。这个是最小的堂哥睡的。
Huang Chi-wen and his two other siblings have lived with their uncle since young. A total of 14 people from 3 different families live under one roof. Chi-wen's aunt, Chen Mei-ying, who suffers from hearing loss and is in her 60s, knows each child, even those not her own, like the back of her hand.
The oldest is really strong in his studies. The middle child, I tell him to study harder, but he won't listen. The youngest sister is very helpful around the house. When I ask her to help, she always does.
Living the simple life, the three Huang siblings never had an allowance before.
The aunt always prepares lunch for them, so they don't spend money on meals and they don't need an allowance either.
She wakes up at 6 to prepare lunch for the three of us.
He won't ask for things simply because the other students have it. He doesn't ask his aunt for material things. He only asks himself to do good in school.
The child the volunteers speak of is Huang Qi-wen, who won a Tzu Chi Educational Sponsorship Award this year. In the end, the monthly visit from Tzu Chi became an event Qi-wen looks forward to.
很高兴他们能跟我们谈天，责任感的人。还有这样对婆娘是。
He sees his aunt as a mother figure. He has nothing but love for her and vice versa. The aunt does her best to take care of them as well.
For this family, the financial struggles are nothing compared to the amount of love they share. Back in Taiwan, Chen Li Huang and her husband run a hair salon in Hebei, Zhanghua. Though both are now devoted Tzu Chi volunteers, that wasn't always the case. In fact, her husband's devotion to the charity once angered Chen so much that it nearly broke their family apart. We now tell you why things changed for the better.
Before daybreak, Chen Li Huang and her husband are already heading out. Arriving at the Tzu Chi recycling station in Hebei, Zhanghua, the pair first get the equipment ready and then joins the morning study session with everyone else. Chen says she used to be under a lot of stress. The couple runs a hair salon together, and her husband became a certified Tzu Cheng in 1999.
I was so involved with Tzu Chi that I neglected my wife. When I came home, the mood would be awful.
Though we argued behind a closed door, our children still heard us yelling, and my eldest daughter is very sensitive.
The constant fightings got to their children, and the eldest daughter became depressed as a result.
She began to hallucinate and laugh on her own. We thought she was possessed.
Suddenly, Chen's life seemed bleak, and she began searching for an answer by visiting temples. But in the end, it was by participating in a sutra musical performance in 2011 that her life changed for the better.
I just loved the experience. I love reciting and signing the sutra.
The Dharma of the Sutra brought Chen into the world of Tzu Chi. Now the couple walks hand in hand on the Bodhisattva path. Their eldest daughter is also undergoing treatment at the Darling Tzu Chi Hospital. This family is once again happy and united.
Holding a sports day, Tzu Ching's in Kaohsiung, Taiwan took advantage of the good weather outside to get some exercise. Unlike events before, other youth organizations were invited to participate as well. We will leave you with these images at the end of the show. Thank you for watching. See you next time.